Today I want to talk about one of my favorite games of all time called Fallout New Vegas. It's probably a very well known game, and by probably I'm of course being sarcastic. I feel Fallout New Vegas fills a lot of unique holes in gameplay that a lot of games don't have. A lot of unique holes in world building, which is a big deal to me, especially the older I get. I feel world building is a big aspect of video games for me. If I can't feel entrenched or engaged by the world or the people in it, I feel like I'm not going to really care about the game, if that makes sense. Fallout New Vegas has been well known as my second favorite game of all time. Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex, is of course my first, but I feel that Fallout New Vegas surpasses Deus Ex in some ways. Deus Ex definitely is a better game in my opinion in focus, but New Vegas, of course, is a better game when it comes to just the variety of things that can happen. The gameplay in this video is of my current playthrough of Fallout New Vegas, which is probably my 3,000th hour plus playthrough of the game. I kind of have just a bunch of random mods installed. I'm not taking it very seriously at all, and I've obviously cheated a few things in just to test things out. Hopefully I'm not crucified or anything like that for not officially following the rules of a new playthrough, but I've been on this playthrough for a couple of hours already. I'm mainly just doing the bounty hunter quest from the mods. I want to talk about in this video 3 things that are important to me about Fallout. One is the things that Fallout does unique. The second thing being how Fallout does things better than other games similar to it and worse than other games similar to it. And then the third thing is why Fallout is really important to me as me and why it's my second favorite game of all time. So hopefully I'm interesting enough for you guys to listen to me ramble about one of the most important games of my life. And hopefully you agree with me or disagree with me. If you don't agree with me, please let me know why. And if you do, please let me know why too. Let's get on with the video. Okay, so the things that I like about Fallout that I feel they do that no other game can do is, first of all, the world building. Bethesda is obviously known for their good world building, their fantastic storytelling and stuff like that, but I feel that Fallout is miles above the Elder Scrolls. The Elder Scrolls is not a super generic setting or anything like that, but I feel that compared to Fallout, it is. I feel like Fallout was the forefather of all these, post-apocalyptic, kind of bleak, but kind of like, oh, we're making it a long style post-apocalyptic future settings, while Elder Scrolls was by far not one of the first fantasy settings or anything like that. I feel that the setting for Fallout, especially for New Vegas and Fallout 2, which is also pretty high up there on my list of good games, the world building and the setting are really strong. I live in California personally, and I don't live in a part of California that a lot of people pay attention to. I don't live in Los Angeles or, the big cities and stuff like that. I live in an area that pretty much it feels a lot like those regions. It's always really hot. There's always a lot of hard work going on and stuff like that. As a kid, when I played Fallout 2, it was always really cool because I'd see towns that I recognized on the map. And in New Vegas, I don't really see towns that I recognize as much, but there are locations that I can go to that I'm like, hey, I've been there before in real life, or I frequent that area and stuff like that. Even with Nevada, I took a trip to Vegas recently, and it was also really cool to just see the names and stuff as I played New Vegas before I'd ever gone to Las Vegas myself. I'd gone to Las Vegas as an adult. I feel like Fallout is also really unique in the sense that it breeds shooting elements and RPG mechanics in a way that makes them both viable. Let's say you want to go the science, repair, lockpick route. That's viable. But so is just going guns, energy weapons, and explosives, and then just killing everything. The karma system is something that's really good in Fallout, except for the minor problems that it has, as, you know, I steal something from someone who's dead, or I steal something from someone who's evil, like straight up Caesar's Legion, I lose karma. You lose like the tiniest amount, so it's negligible. You can kill a ghoul and it'll come back up or something like that, but it's just kind of jarring. But the karma system, honestly, that was the first game I ever played where there was just a live tracker of stuff that I was doing when I played Fallout 3. And Fallout 3, most of the things that I say that are good about Fallout New Vegas can be said about Fallout 3, except for maybe the setting. I wasn't a huge fan of Washington, D.C. Not a lot of these things can be said good about Fallout 4. I'm not a huge fan of Fallout 4, as we know that it failed on a lot of fronts, which is really sad, but I'm not here to talk about that. I feel like as a Bethesda game, they always push to you can do anything you want, and Fallout does that really strongly, especially with non-story missions. In Fallout New Vegas, you are a courier who just died, and then you find out that well, you didn't die, but you just find out that you were shot in the head. And you want to track down who shot you. But you could do anything else that you want as soon as you wake up and create your character. And in Fallout 3, you have to go through the vault stuff, obviously. But it doesn't really push you down a super hard path. I feel like the Elder Scrolls games start you off on a story and kind of push you towards it really heavily. The prisoner scene in Oblivion has been discussed before. And Skyrim, the prisoner carriage, guillotine, get your head cut off, dragon scene at the beginning of Skyrim, and then you have to go to Riverwood. That stuff kind of feels like you have to do it every single time from when you start. The vault scene in Fallout 3 is a little long for my taste, but in New Vegas, you wake up, the guy says, hey, use this machine, you almost died, you check it out, and then you walk out, and he's like, here's some information, and you can do anything from there. You can head towards Sloan, which is not a good idea for new players, obviously. You head towards Prim, which everybody usually does, but there's just a myriad of things you can do. And I feel like that is one of the reasons why New Vegas is just so great. The fact that anything that I choose is basically something relevant is always a fantastic feeling, and I feel like that's why I love the game so much.
When the day is through, I'll be here with you. Into the sunset we will ride.
I want to talk about some of the things that Fallout does better and worse than games similar to it. All the games, including Fallout 4, of course, fit onto this list, but some more than others. I feel that, like I mentioned earlier, the options that you have as a player, whether it be the speech option, the pacifism option, the violent kill everything option, any of those things always seem viable. You can even switch midway through your campaign if necessary. That's a little unique. Sometimes older RPGs I know really limit you. Once you've chosen something, you're kind of stuck on it. Other games like Mass Effect, I feel like some options aren't that viable, and more often than not, there's always a clear-cut better one. Sometimes that happens in Fallout, like the Speech 100 thing at the end of the game that clearly just avoids the hardest fight, just solved in 2 seconds flat. That's another problem that it has, is that sometimes speech can be too powerful, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Another thing that Bethesda games, but mainly Fallout, does better than a lot of other games is the companions. They always push the fact that you should care about the stories of the people that are following you into battle. And in Mass Effect, sometimes it's hard to do that because a lot of the stories are kind of alienating. You have to feel a certain way about certain things for the character to matter, whether that be romantic or not. Sometimes it's just a little hard. For the Fallout New Vegas and other Fallout game companions, they have real struggles. Arcade Gannon has his family's past and stuff like that. Veronica has the Brotherhood of Steel issues, and those things feel like real issues that if in real life you had someone who was going through those, they would appear in a natural way. The companions are well written. A lot of people cite the Arcade Gannon homosexuality thing as being a big deal as a well-written gay character, because it's not something that he just immediately throws out the second you meet him and stuff like that. And which is how it would be probably back in that time period. When you meet somebody, they probably wouldn't automatically tell you those types of things. So that's pretty well done. The voice acting for most characters in Fallout, but specifically the companions, has always been way above par. They always get really good actors, well-known actors sometimes, to voice the characters, and they always do a fantastic job. I feel like the companions allow you to have different play styles. Boone, kills everything the second he sees it from a million miles away. He's stronger than Vats. And Veronica just goes up and wrecks everything with her fist. So if you're playing a melee character, that's the perfect companion for you. Another thing that I feel that Fallout does better than the other games is the storytelling. I mentioned this before, but besides the intros for Fallout 3 and a little bit of New Vegas, it's your story. And the game really makes it feel like it is your story. The fact that the choices you make a huge difference to the ending feels great. You side with Caesar's Legion, you side with the NCR, you side with yourself or Mr. House, and the ending really does change. The paths that you choose are unique. Caesar's Legion, you end up, killing a lot of people and stuff. The NCR, you try to protect them, but you increase the power of the government. All these stories are compelling and unique, and it's something that I feel that they've never done super wrong, besides something that I'll get to later. The variety of content is another thing that I feel is really strong. There's like 1 million guns, and then with mods there's like 1 million even more guns. Armor types, clothing types. There's just something for everyone, and that's always something that I love about games. I'm a pretty big fan of roguelikes, and one of the things I like about them is the plethora of options you have. Items and skills and abilities and things to do, like construction, even though you don't need to in that game, and stuff like that. So having lots of things you can do is always a great feeling. The final point that I feel that Fallout New Vegas and the Fallout series has over other games is every game has mods and a modding community, of course. Well, not every game, but most games. But I feel like the Fallout modding community has taken it to a whole nother level. The Elder Scrolls modding community is similar, but a lot of them do some questionable stuff, and some of the mod choices there are not always the greatest. But in Fallout, I feel like people always want to create something that contributes to the image that Bethesda and Obsidian set forth. The quests, I never see any quests that are highly rated, at least, that stray too far away from what you would want in a game. And then most of the most common guns, mods, and armor mods are ones that are lore friendly and do stuff like that. Of course, there's always the outlying ones, but it just feels like there's a lot of quality there. And I feel like that's a really strong thing. One of the biggest problems I have with Fallout, especially New Vegas, is the bugs. Bethesda is notorious for their bugs, and I'm not going to rag on them so much because there's been countless videos of that, but the fact that New Vegas out of the box sometimes is unplayable for people is honestly really disheartening, because if I play for like 20 minutes and my game crashes to desktop, sometimes I don't want to go further from playing anymore. I was engrossed and now it cut me out, and I'll move on to playing something else. I feel like I said earlier, the fact that there's everything for someone is a good thing, but some of the mechanics that there are there for other people aren't that strong. I feel a lot of games do shooting a little bit better than New Vegas. Fallout 4 tried to improve on this, but It did it in a way that dumbed down other mechanics in a negative way. But the shooting mechanics in New Vegas aren't always that great. VATS is there, and that's of course overpowered. A problem with VATS is the fact that you can get locked in an animation and then not be able to stim pack or something when you have like 9 health, and then the guy just stares you in the face while you don't do anything, and then he finally hits you and you die. And the biggest problem I have with Fallout New Vegas that isn't a bug or failed mechanics is that the main quest sometimes really pulls you away from things that you want to do. I feel that the main quest is really well written, and if it's your first time or you're trying to get along and unlock some things or get further into certain things, it's a good story. I don't think it's a poor story. But I feel like if I want to play a mercenary who's getting hired to kill people and do stuff like that, and then the main quest comes along, especially for Fallout 3, I feel like it really just pulls me away from being able to be that type of person that I want to be. Even though it's a game that's supposed to be all about me. And that's probably my biggest gripe with it. Okay, my final point that I want to talk about before wrapping up this video is why Fallout is one of the most important games to me. There's a few reasons. I'll start with the less personal one, and then I'll move on from there. Fallout 2 and then Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas basically showed me what it was like to play a game that the developer wanted to be made. That the developer loved and handcrafted in a way that, regardless of sales and stuff like that, they wanted a game that would appeal to an audience and get their vision across. I have a lot of respect for Obsidian and, to a lesser extent, Bethesda and Interplay and stuff like that. I have respect for them because they made a game that means a lot to a lot of people. It shows ways that games matter. It's a keystone in what a good game is. Regardless of the bugs and stuff, the games are designed fairly well. Engine limits aside, I mean. My personal reason that I love Fallout so much is when I was younger, I was not a very fortunate person. I didn't have a lot of money. I had, until about 2007, I had one of those Dell, not even Inspiron, just a generic workstation XP computer that I had to work my hardest to find games that would play on it. So I didn't own very many games or have very many games that worked, but Fallout 2 worked. And I played it from when I was young all the way up until I finally moved on to other games and stuff like that. I played it for years and years. When I first got it, my Xbox 360, I was only able to purchase 2 games for about 2 years total. I had only about 2 games. And those games were the first Dark Souls and Fallout New Vegas. And I was lucky enough to have a friend who gave me the game guide, so I had that at the time too. And I was going through a period of time where I wasn't living at my house either. I was living somewhere else. And that game was probably the epitome of escapism for me. It let me listen to some chill music, because as we all know, the Fallout music is the greatest. Do something that I enjoy, and be someone that wasn't me. I know that's might be a little cringy to say and stuff, but for a young me, that really mattered at that time. As I grew up, my conditions improved, obviously, and I just feel like it was really useful in developing the type of person that I am and the type of game taste that I have. I love RPGs. I love games that allow me to live out a life as someone else or do something that I can't do in real life. Those games are the greatest. And to wrap it all up, I have to really give it to Obsidian for creating this game. They're basically kind of like mini heroes to me, but I am very thankful for the game that they've created. I'm thankful to you guys for watching this video, whoever watches this video. I hope you guys have a great day, and please leave a like or a comment or anything really. You can leave a dislike or an angry comment if you'd like. I'm all up for anything. I want to make videos more. I've been afraid, but I'm trying to power through that. I hope you guys liked the video, and I really hope you guys have a good day. Peace out.